Hello to all of our new friends in Bridgeport, West Virginia. My name is Philip Rouleau with Rultract, and today looks like we're going to be cutting off the top portion of my head for the video. Today what I'd like to do is show you how we can possibly set this equipment up on the opposite side of the table to provide more space for you during the procedure, if that's something you'd like to do. Maybe I misunderstood you, but I think you said you were going to try to set up on the opposite side. So I'll go over how we can do that. What I have here is pretty much based on the pictures. I duplicated your setup. I'm not retracting a scapula here because my model does not have a scapula, and I'm not using the retractor because you have both of them and I don't have one for the video. So this is basically what we were doing on Monday for scapula retraction, and what we're going to do now is set it up on the opposite side of the table and see if we can provide the same, if not better, exposure. I now have the retractor set up on the opposite side of the table, and what I'm going to do is try to achieve the same amount of retraction and exposure, if not better, while set up on the opposite side of the table. Now, you may have tried this. Maybe I misunderstood what you were saying, but I think we want to try and see if we can set up on the opposite side. So first of all, what I would do is I'm setting the retractor up. I would take this top post and angle it in at about 18 degrees, bringing me a little bit closer to the patient. This top post is called a spline top post. The bottom post clamp has splines or grooves cut into it, allowing this to be angled at 18-degree increments all the way around the table. So what I would like to do here is go about 18 degrees in toward the patient. Next thing I'm going to do is take my rotating extender bar. I like to put the rotating extender bar on inverted, meaning the large knob is on the bottom. The design intention originally was to have the knob on the top for a number of procedures. So we say when the knob is on the bottom, it's inverted. So we're going to go ahead and put that on to the top post. I like to lock it down into place while I'm setting everything else up so it doesn't fall off. One of the things here that I also like to do is adjust the top portion of the tilting post. As you can see here, we're on an angle, looks to be almost about 45 degrees. If you loosen this large knob, you can turn this top portion and change your angle of retraction or the angle of setup. So what I'm doing is I'm making this as level as I can, and I'll go ahead and tighten that down into place. Now I will take my ratchet assembly and set it onto my rotating extender bar. One quick thing to be aware of here is if you have too aggressive of an angle of retraction, when you set this up in this way, meaning the handle is out right going toward the patient and the spool and the cable is going away from the patient's head. What can happen here is this angle of retraction can be so aggressive that your crank handle will actually hit that cable. So you have to be aware of that when you set the retractor up with the handle here. I understand that it's nice to have the handle here in order to retract and have more control over it than having to reach behind it. Just be aware of the limitations. Something that if you have a very severe angle of retraction and you're hitting the cable, what you can do is go back up here, hold this all into place, loosen this, and go ahead and change that angle again just enough, as you did actually on Monday, which was great. You had that coming in at a perfect angle so you weren't hitting it with a handle. So great job. A lot of people don't realize that that happens. So what I'm doing now is I'll go ahead and retract my scapula with my scapula retractor. Put that into position and go ahead and retract. Now, something else that you can do with this setup is if you want to change the angle of retraction, obviously once it's in place, you go ahead and loosen the knob here on the rotating extender bar, and you can pull this back. You can see what I'm doing here to the chest is flexing and as I'm changing the angle of retraction. So I can go ahead and do that if I want to get a different amount of exposure or different angle, and then make my micro adjustments again with my ratchet assembly at 1 millimeter per click. So there are a number of different ways to adjust this. I may be overcomplicating it, as I tend to do sometimes, but I get excited about the number of ways that we can retract and the different angles that we can retract to provide better exposure than anything else as far as I'm concerned. So this is what I would recommend doing. And again, I'd like to come out for a case if I can to help with this setup, maybe go over it with you in person. Thank you for taking the time to watch the video. I'm sorry it was so long. Sorry about my head getting cut off. If you have any questions, please call or email, and I look forward to meeting everybody soon.